Welcome to the Wild Wealth Way. This podcast is powered by the team at Wild Wealth Management Group, an award-winning financial services firm that provides comprehensive retirement, investment, real estate, insurance, legal, and tax planning services all under one roof. In each episode, professionals from the firm and our trusted partners will delve into topics ranging from retirement and the stock market to tax planning and insurance. We will even assist getting your kids into college and help get it funded. Welcome to the Wild Wealth Way podcast. My name is Jackie Yoder, COO of Wild Wealth Management Group. I'm joined today with Anthony Williams. He's one of our amazing advisors of our affiliates, Mosaic, and we are just so honored to have him today. So thank you for joining us today, Anthony.
Of course, Jackie.
So we're going to jump into it. The first question I want to know is about Mosaic. How did it start? How did it originate? Obviously, it's you and Mark. So how did that kind of come about?
So we started with a firm out of the Midwest, fresh out of college. At the time, we did what would be tantamount to a residency with a or a senior member of the firm. We were the juniors, the fleebs, just do what they tell you to do, guys. And they happened to work with physicians. And so we worked with physicians for a number of years, doing that residency or that training system, if you will. And then we ultimately were on our own. I said to Mark at one point, I go, hey, you like one aspect of the business. I like another aspect of the business. We should kind of partner up. And at the time it was a loose affiliation, but we did a lot of stuff together at that point. Then it just kind of evolved where it was, if you were a physician with a heartbeat, you were a pretty good client.
Yeah.
Then it became if you were a specialty physician. And then we started our firm Mosaic Financial Associates in 2008, where we decided it's time to go plant our own flag, hang our own shingle, do it ourselves. It was right around that time also where we still work with specialty physicians extensively, but we really all of a sudden began gaining a lot of traction in the orthopedic surgeon environment. That's kind of our backstory.
And that's like the majority of your clients at this point?
Primarily physicians, and then most of our growth has occurred within the orthopedic surgeon space, yeah.
Okay. I want to say when I met you and Mark, you guys were you were like the outgoing, the face of everything, and Mark's like, just let me analyze all of it. It was like the perfect.
It's great for me.
Yeah.
Because as soon as spreadsheets come up, or as soon as if we're on a call by example with the investment committee, and these guys just start nerding out, I'm like, all right, you guys have fun. I'm out.
Right.
It just does not compute in my brain.
You're like, I'll have to find another doctor.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love it. That was amazing. What kind of led you guys, though, to Wild Wealth?
I think there were probably two or three things, Jackie. The first, in no particular order, but the first thing is we really knew that we needed to expand the scope of our investment platform. At our previous broker-dealer, in our previous relationship, we had, the third-party money managers and all these different types of things. But we felt that if we were going to be a premier wealth advisory firm, that we needed to have another layer to that. And what was very attractive is you guys have your investment committee that meets regularly, that's going to have, a different approach to what the third-party money managers are doing in that space. And so we felt like that was a nice complement for our clients and for our practice. Secondly, we really realized, and I think we'll talk on this maybe a little bit more as we go, that we really struggled on a staffing basis. We had a lead staff person for probably almost 20 years. She's now in France. Hi, Sheila. And at any rate, the problem was every single time we would lose another staff person, the entire load would fall on Sheila's lap. And then we would get emails like, I'm a week behind,
Right.
And so we knew that we needed to do something different with respect to the infrastructure of our firm and ultimately the client service delivery.
Right.
I think those were probably the two central issues. And I guess the third one was when you're kind of off on an island all to yourself, there just isn't a lot of collaboration opportunities amongst other advisors. Like, oh, you do this, or oh, you do that, or just different insights and different perspectives was also attractive.
And so you also came over during COVID. So what was the thought behind that? Just the timing?
Just like anything else, bad timing, I guess. COVID was interesting for obviously tons of reasons. I don't mean to condescend to people. It was obviously interesting and traumatic for others, but it really started for us where we kind of started into these dialogues and going through this recruiter we had. And the dialogues just kind of started and they just flowed through. In March of 2020, I was one of those idiots that was stuck on a cruise ship for an extra 17 days because I decided to go on the cruise regardless. Although it was kind of a BOGO, so that was kind of cool. But, so you're dealing with that. The market drops, 30% in the span of 2 weeks. You're having those types of client calls. And then you get back. And for those of you that have had actual real COVID, I had it in July of 20. I don't mean that dismissively to other people who had it. I know you've had it like 17 times.
Listen,
So yeah, but
don't be jealous.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I have aspirations. Right. And so it was just having brain fog for like a meaningful period of time. Like I know that when we started with these kind of discussions, I would have to ask Mark, I'm like, I realized it was kind of like a fire hose in your mouth in a manner of speaking. Because it was so much that I go, I just can't process.
Yeah.
And so it really took me probably a little bit longer than Mark just to kind of figure out. I couldn't think comprehensively for a solid month or two. On the other hand, it made it in some respects easier because we weren't having meetings, at least face-to-face meetings.
Right.
And even the meetings that we did have were really spaced out because, people they were at home and it wasn't like super urgent.
Mm-hmm.
They knew, hey, I want to be predatory if the market goes down. So that's good, I guess, client coaching, if you will. But we had time, which we otherwise wouldn't have had. I wasn't traveling.
Right.
So that presented an opportunity as well. So I think there are always silver linings.
I think kind of like you said, because you traveled all the time before that. So it was a good timing for you. I think I might know a little bit about this, but
cheers, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You guys might notice, Anthony. He has Whiskey Wednesdays on
YouTube. Oh, it's all across
everywhere. And it's
once a month on a Wednesday. We do a topic and we introduce a whiskey. And
so he definitely brought the whiskey today. And so we brought that together and that's perfect. So thank you.
Yeah. Some people put it in their coffee. I feel like there's no reason to hide it. Let's just embrace it.
I agree. It's kind of like a mimosa. Can we skip the orange juice?
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad we're on the same page with
more
that.
More bubbles, less juice.
Yeah. Give me the good stuff. Okay. So what's your favorite part about being a financial advisor?
There are two things. I guess you said favorite part, but and these two kind of go together.
Yeah.
I think ultimately the relationships that you develop with the client, just by example, and that kind of leads into knowing that you're making a difference in people's lives. And I'll just by example, this weekend, I received a text from a client of mine, had a really unfortunate episode, kind of near-death experience. And the nature of the text was, dude, I just want to make sure that my finances are in order. If something goes sideways, I want to make sure my family's taken care of. So when you have those types of texts or calls or interactions with people, and frankly, I think anybody who's been in this industry long enough, the most meaningful exchanges you have with clients are after they've had like a disability and they're on disability insurance. And they're like, hey, at least I know my bills are paid, or, hey, I'm not going to run out of money. Right. Like those types of conversations are the meaningful ones. And that I think goes to that first part of it, which is the relationships that you have with clients. Yeah. Well,
and kind of like we talked about earlier, like you are definitely the face to that. Like you are very much the relationship guy. Definitely see where you.
Yeah. I feel like there are some people, Jackie, I'm not one of them, where if you drop them in the middle of the wilderness, miles away from civilization, that they would come out and be roses and sunshine. No, I would be barefoot inside of about 3 days if I make it that long. But if you drop me into a restaurant or a bar, any city in the world, I'll make friends.
Solid. I kind of on the same page with you on that one. So this is probably the next obvious thing that we can't really get around right now. What's your advice right now with clients, with the market, the fluctuations? I mean, what's that conversation right now?
It's crazy. A few bullet points on that. Number one, I say this a lot of times, especially lately, is zoom out. Quit focusing on these small little short-term events. They're really immaterial to your outcomes over time. If we take a long-term perspective and we look at where things are, that's got to help, right? Zoom out, have that perspective. And then I would argue most importantly, turn it off. Tune it out. Stop looking.
Stop looking.
Just stop looking. I mean, I really think it would be interesting. The question that I would pose to people is, if you could only look at your statements of the market once a year, how would that potentially change your investment strategy? That can be a discussion. We don't need to dive into that in today's forum, right?
Yeah.
But I sometimes wish that there were only annual statements, because the reality is, if you have commitment to your plan and you stress test your plan, my father's sending me a text saying, I think I need to move to cash because all these jabronis on CNBC have told me I'm supposed to move to cash.
Right.
My answer is the same. Dad, turn it off. Stop paying attention to it. You're going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, think about all the people. I think right now a good example is when the market did crash during COVID, and then look how much it went back up.
Well, and
And if you would have reacted so quickly and put everything in cash at that point, you'd be kicking yourself, and I'm sure there were people that did.
There were plenty that did. And what's the old saying? You have to be right twice.
Yep.
So you may have gotten out and patted yourself on the back, but if you didn't get right back in, you missed out on massive gains.
Right.
I think that goes to the passion of what we have as advisors, is to sit down with clients, truly identify what their goals and objectives are, putting together a plan that we've run thousands of scenarios, to make sure that whatever those goals are, that you're on track to reach those goals.
Right.
If we've done that, everything else is just background noise.
Right. Yeah. Everyone just needs to hang out.
And what's interesting too is how many people have forgotten already about the COVID crash.
I know. I don't understand.
Right?
It still feels fresh for me.
It's so familiar. Again, part of that could be being stuck on a cruise ship and trying to find a place that I actually had Wi-Fi that would work and allow Wi-Fi based calls off the coast of Chile. But, besides that, it's like, guys, we just went through this and it came back so quickly. And who is it? You might remember. I think was it Templeton who said something to Sir John Templeton, something to the fact of the 4 most dangerous words are, it's different this time. Mm-hmm. Most of the time it's not different. Yeah. It's the same.
It is actually the same.
We just have to ride it out. Yeah. And if we have a plan, I get where stress comes in. If somebody's like, I'm about to retire and I've just seen my portfolio go down 30%. Well, you can make have a discussion along the lines of, were you allocated properly if it went down 30% and we knew that you were going to retire in a month?
Right.
Like I think back to 9/11, I think back to the .com bust, to the 2004, 5, 6, the 2008 Great Recession. Like, we've been through all of these cycles. Mm-hmm. And what is the one constant in those cycles?
It always goes back up. Every time.
Every time. But this time is different.
Of course it is. I think it is. I mean, obviously, us in this world, we know every time it goes down that we're coaching clients through that. Right. But it is a good reminder to just let people know, like, it literally goes back up every time. So
I think the best conversations that we've had is, look, Anthony, or look, Mark, I know what you're going to say already, but can you just say it again? Right. If you think about it, it's no different than when, with our folks, right? When we're growing up, like, we just want those reassurance moments.
Right.
We just want to know that everything's going to be okay, because when we're in the thick of it, we have impulse control. We have, emotions that drive that. The amygdala is the most powerful mechanism in the brain.
Yeah.
And that's basically, I need to run for safety.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why we need to take a second, like I say, zoom out and have some perspective to realize, look, let's take a deep breath. Let's think about where we're at. What have we done to get to this point? And ultimately we should be all right.
Well, let's hope it's over soon, but we might have a little more time in this.
Well, but let's say it's another year, right? 6 months a year. We're not in the prediction business. We might have whiskey here, but we don't have a crystal ball. None. But on the other hand, if it continues to go down or has significant volatility for the next year, this is a great opportunity for wealth accumulation for folks that have that 5, 10, 15, 20-year long time frame. Again, for folks in retirement, not so great.
Yeah. Agreed. And if you have that extra cash, this is the time to invest. So we kind of touched on this a little bit previously about some operational changes that happened. Talk through a little bit of that, how integrating with Wilde Wealth more and Mosaic kind of coming together. How has that been? What's that going to look like in the future? All of those things.
Yeah. So this is probably, for me, one of the more exciting things or initiatives that we have moving forward, because, like I mentioned before, when you have one lead staff person and then you have other people that are there for 12 months or for 18 months, and then they go find their dream job, or it's not working for them anymore, or whatever it is, it's very disruptive. Mm-hmm. Now, I feel like we've done a decent job of, our inconveniences should not be our clients' inconveniences. Mm-hmm. And so through proper communication, like we're running 3 or 4 days instead of 1 or 2 days in terms of follow-up, things like that. When you think about what you guys bring to the table with respect to the client service representative team, you've got Colleen and Ashley leading those teams, and then you have the other staff folks that are helping to be a part of that team. It's really, and I know you're not supposed to use sports analogies, but it's the best one I've come up with. It's next person up. Mm-hmm. Right? This person can slide in. And if everybody knows the systems, if everyone is familiar with the processes that are being run on a day in and day out basis, I admit, like, I would need the book, like, Logistics in the Financial Planning Practice for Dummies. I would need that book. Yeah. Right? Like, I don't know how to do anything. Yeah. But if you have a defined team, an integrated system, well, then you can just plug and play.
Yep.
And so, of course, the end goal, what is it? Who is it really the ultimate benefit for? It's going to be our clients.
100%.
Because we can keep the momentum rolling when we need to, when people go down, somebody gets sick, someone's, going to have a baby, they have a family issue, whatever the issues are, no sweat. We have a whole team of people that can slide into those spots and to assist. And so that's, for me, to not have that headache is very meaningful.
Yeah, I will say I probably pushed to get it a little bit more streamlined through COVID, because we went through those waves where people would be out, and what was it, there for a while, you had to be out for like almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very, very helpful to always have everyone kind of on that same page so they can help each other out, essentially, right?
We need more than one point person. You're right. You can have the point person, but there need to be a lot of point people behind that point person to facilitate when that person has something that they need to handle.
I know. I just need to find some for myself. So
look, if I had Oprah money, I would have a private chef. I'd have my sheets changed every single day, and I'd have a personal assistant. So
great.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, and a jet. I would have a jet.
A jet would be really nice, actually. Yeah.
You fit in a plane fine. My tall self doesn't fit. It's terribly uncomfortable.
So shifting gears a little bit, tell us about your 3 new books that you have out.
Yeah, so we have 2. I think they may have already been on Amazon, or they're dropping this week or something on Amazon. The first one is called A Clean Bill of Wealth, which might be the greatest title in the history of all time. Right. If I was tooting, I can't take credit for it. A colleague in a study group of mine came up with it, but it's the 13 essential categories of financial wellness. And so that's really going to take a client through or anyone through the journey of all the elements. They all might not be applicable to that person, but these are the boxes that we need to check to make sure that we're approaching this comprehensively. Yeah. And then the second book is called Preserving Your Life's Work, an Actionable Asset Protection Manual. And the thing I always like to give a disclaimer, when we think asset protection, we always think attorney. We think legal structures. And that is absolutely a part of this book. And really where this book came from is I look at all the ways in which we need to preserve wealth. And there are many of them. Yeah. And so what we did is I said, hey, I'll write like a chapter on a particular subject. And then I interviewed industry experts in all of those sections. And so the book actually is a compilation of the white paper that I wrote on that particular subject. And then there's a link to the interview with the industry expert. I have an asset protection attorney, a long-term care expert, and I have somebody, all roads lead to retirement. So I have an expert in that space as well. And so I think if you think about it illustratively, it's like Game of Thrones, right? I have a slide that I use when I speak at Orthopedic Association conferences, because even though I would prefer to just improv, they make you have a PowerPoint. It's just kind of how it works. And so I have a slide that says, what can we learn from Game of Thrones, right? And it's all about asset protection, but it's not just legal stuff. Yes, we have the drawbridge, we have the moat, we have the elven archers, we have, fireballs, like we have all the dragons if we need to get to the nuclear option, right? It's all of those things. Again, how are we integrating those things together? Because I feel like there are a lot of folks out there that think, hey, if I just Google something, or if I just, want to get some ETFs for an investment strategy, fine. They're going to be missing out on a lot of things. And my hope is that with these 2 books, that people will start to see, oh, wow, my eyes have been open to a lot of different areas of wealth accumulation and wealth preservation. So they kind of go together, which is why we're releasing them together, or that they've been released together. And then the third book is coming out, I think, in this January, February, and it's going to be called Prescriptive Wealth. That is going to be specifically for physicians, and it really is going to walk the client through a journey that they go from even being in like residency, and they're like, I have no money, I'm trying to keep my head above water, to somebody who's in their 70s, who's maybe done a great job of accumulation, but they have no plan. Right. They have no idea, like, how do I transfer assets to my family or to my synagogue or my church or whatever it is. Like, I have philanthropic interests. And we have one client particularly that, bought like 4,000 or 5,000 shares of Apple in 1994. Oh my God. Suffice it to say, there's a bit of a capital gain issue there. Oh my God. And so there were some creative strategies that we're now collaborating with tax attorneys, CPAs, because they're just, the planning level is going to be a way more sophisticated than just use this investment or this annuity. And everything in between. So the idea is, I kind of look at that as a textbook in a manner of speaking, right? Because it's going to have advisor insights. We call them advisor RX, just because that sounds clever, I guess, where we'll have the text, but then we'll have different points where different advisors will kind of provide their insights on those moments or those excerpts.
So that one's January or February?
I think so. I think January-ish. It
Okay.
really depends. We still have a couple of contributing authors that seem to be dragging their feet.
Yes. Okay. Do I need to yell at someone?
We could have that off.
All right, we can help take care of that for sure. So I was lucky today. I got to sit with the Whiskey and Wealth
Wednesday.
Whiskey
Alliteration,
and Wealth
Jackie,
Wednesday.
is very important. Whiskey and Wealth Wednesday.
And an author. So today's my lucky day.
And first time ever.
And
Mm-hmm.
drinking the whiskey as well.
Yeah.
So
And for all they know, we're recording this right now at 6:00 at night, and this is the end of the day, not first thing in the morning. And so there should be no judgment, audience, no judgment.
I mean, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Always is.
So we're good.
Yeah.
We're solid over here.
Mhm.
But no, I really wanted to say thank you. This was awesome. And I'm really, really excited. I need to read your books. Obviously, I need to get on Amazon, right? I don't get them for free.
We might be able to. Work that out.
Okay. But no, we really appreciate you being on today. So thank you so much. And we look forward to the third book coming out too.
As do I.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you for joining the Wild Wealth Way. If you would like to meet with one of our trusted advisors, please go to www.wildwealth.com or call our office at 480-361-6203. You can find our show notes from today's show at www.wildwealth.com/podcast.